Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Welcome back to Listen Up. Phil and Rye here. And I just can't express how excited I am, and we both are, that the UConn Huskies are finally back playing meaningful basketball games. The regular season finally here. UConn winning hugely tonight in major fashion. 102-58, the final score from Hartford, Connecticut. Phil, I'll let you take it away, but I'd say this is this is a pretty good start to the season, I'd say.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to actually pick up the microphone. Can you see me on this, Ryan? I have to pick it up and say to all of UConn Nation, hold on, make sure it's working. Ryan, she's back. Phil and Ryan on Listen Up. Ryan, oh my goodness. Now, I understand this is Dayton, right? I understand this is Dayton, but there's still a lot to be thankful for, to be grateful for. There's a lot to look forward to this season, obviously. This is everything in a nutshell. This is only one game, right? There's going to be a lot of outsiders outside of UConn that's going to jump on this podcast. I guarantee you when I say this. Ryan, excuse me, I had to clear my throat before I tell you this. The UConn Huskies are pretty much the number one team right now in my eyes in the country. All right.
Yeah.
I know that you probably don't want to even speak on that behalf because you don't want to take the heat that I'm getting ready to take, but that's fine. That's fine. Let me get right in down to the game recap, and you can get into your favorite part of the show, comments. From the beginning, this was emotional. I had to step out of the office earlier today. Paige Bueckers, there was an ESPN article that I sent you, Ryan. Shout out to I think her first name is Alexa. I have to look that up. Alexa, I believe. Anyway, an ESPN staff writer. Incredible article. If you all have not checked that out, go check it out now. Incredible article on how Paige, from her two injuries, her major injuries, it made a return to the court. Ryan, there were a lot of nerves in the beginning of this game, and I thought about you because you couldn't catch some of it. I was like, man, what if Ryan, every little play, I'm like, man, what if Ryan saw this? What if Ryan heard this? There were a lot of nerves, Ryan, as expected, but the UConn Huskies did settle into the game. Let's start it off in the first and second quarter, Ryan. The game, for the first time, I don't know if anybody can recall this, Ryan. You weren't aware. The game started out, guess how the season started out, Ryan? With a technical foul against Dayton.
I did see that.
For not having a name correctly written in the scorebook. And I'm like, Ryan, I don't know. I was Ryan, have you ever heard of that before?
No, that was
Okay.
that was definitely a unique way to start off the opening game.
So here's my takes, Ryan. A lot of rotation in and out. And that's what I like from this UConn Huskies women's basketball team starting out. KK, her first career points for UConn in the first quarter as she came off of the bench. Kaden Samuels had her first points of her young career. Starting off the first and second quarter again, UConn, listen to this, Ryan. In the first quarter, UConn was 8 from 8 from the foul line. So again, Dayton they didn't get a chance to shoot from the foul line until the second quarter. Dayton had a lot of good looks, Ryan, early, but they could not execute. All right, both teams were very physical. One thing Gino said about the scrimmage against Syracuse was there were too many fouls for the Huskies. So take a look. They will go back and take a look at this tape, and I expect them to correct that right away. But that's really the only negative thing that I saw, or the thing that the Huskies have to work on, is the actual fouls that they committed. The second quarter, we turn over to the second quarter, UConn. So we saw a lot of I wanted to also tell you, Ryan, keep your eye on defense this season. A lot of 2-2-1 zone defense from UConn. And then they switched up. It was the I'll get into it. Third or fourth quarter, they had like man-to-man defense. So keep your eye on that, how Gino plays the defense again. And I guess you're right. It depends what teams they play.
Right.
AZ came out firing again, like usual. Her mid-range jumper, Ryan, is one of the best in the game. Here, Caroline Ducharme, it's good to see her back healthy. Edwards looked strong under the basket early. And then the Huskies also did a good job limiting the turnovers in the first half. I know we talked about that all offseason. Hopefully they heard Ryan on the podcast, because for some reason, good reason, the Huskies did not have a lot of turnovers, Ryan, in the first half. Ice Brady. I heard him say that, had a nice basket. Dayton's Wolf. It's an incredible job by over on the other side of the ball. Wolf gave UConn some trouble in the first half. You want to go back and look at the tape, Ryan. Tough time guarding her. 21 for 36 shooting. That UConn that was. At halftime, it was 59-31 UConn. Moving on to, and both teams, mind you, Ryan, both teams had 8 fouls in the first half. Moving on to quarter three, 4 threes for Wolf in the game. Dayton's Wolf, again, tough time guarding her from behind the 3-point line and in the field. KK subs in for Paige midway through the third quarter. Actually in the beginning, and 1 for 6. Dayton was 1 for 6 from the field midway through the third, Ryan. So like I told you, a lot of good looks for Dayton, but obviously, anytime you play UConn, it's going to be tough. Good defense from UConn after halftime. So what they did was, I told you about this. When you have a big lead, what do? You tire your opponents out. UConn did an incredible job dribbling more, taking time off the clock, tiring out the Dayton defense, right? Aubrey Griffin had 5 boards, a tremendous job. And that was just going off the third quarter. She had 5 boards in the third quarter. And they were passing. Talk about KK Arnold. Oh, my goodness. What a debut, Ryan, for our good friend KK. 7 assists. Ryan, how about this number right here? Can you see my hand? How many turnovers right here? Zero turnovers. All right. I was like, man, Ryan is his face is going to absolutely light up on this game recap. It was 84-40 at the end of the third, and then the start of the fourth. Obviously, the Huskies kept it rolling. Man-to-man defense. I had it listed here in my notes. They switched from zone man-to-man. And, they made a good point. And the media said there's waves of Huskies. The announcers, rather. They said there's waves of Huskies coming at you. And Ryan, listen to this. That's a good point, because there were 31 points off the bench tonight for UConn. Last year, Ryan, the season high, 25 off the bench.
Wow.
What a difference.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things, or probably the most important thing that I can take away from this game, is the players coming off the bench, and none of the starters had to play over 25 except AZ with 26 minutes. So I think that's something, hopefully we get to see it all season long, where, UConn can kind of build a little bit of a lead, and we can see these players coming off the bench. Like you mentioned, Caden Samuels, KK Arnold, tremendous games. And Aubrey Griffin, little surprised we had her in the starting lineup, but Gino did keep it the same that he had in that preseason game, starting Caroline Ducharme over Aubrey Griffin. But Aubrey, another spectacular game off the bench, 15 minutes, 12 points, and like you said, those 5 rebounds. So yeah, I think the most important thing is going to be the Huskies coming off the bench to not only, provide their minutes for this team, but to just give the starters rest. And I think the rest goes throughout the whole entire season, and hopefully that helps keep the team healthy as well, because we're all too familiar, unfortunately, with injuries on this team. So hopefully the wave of Huskies, like you mentioned, that are coming off the bench, provide some rest throughout the whole entire season for these starters. And I think it was really important as well that UConn did keep the turnovers and, for the most part, fouls down during this game. So hopefully that's not just because they played Dayton. Hopefully that can be consistent as well throughout the whole season, no matter who or what opponent that they're playing.
It's important to note that Amari DeBerry, one of your big names, subbed in the fourth quarter. She fouled right away when she came in. But again, we know she has a lot of potential. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of a role she plays down the stretch. To me, she has not established herself yet as a true UConn Husky. Not saying anything bad, she has shown flashes. But I'm interested to see what she does down the stretch. That moved them to 38-1. I saw this stat. I think this is under Gino. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully somebody will. But I know the numbers are right. I just don't know as far as under Gino or under the program history. A 38-1 in home openers. And again, the final score, Ryan, you told them 102 to 58. Is that correct? 102 to 58. A lot of final 102-58. Yes. A lot of people texted me, straight out of UConn, and I really do appreciate it. I know you do as well, Ryan. We received a lot of comments today as far as earlier today. Today was game day. We knew it. We woke up. You and I was ready. So we will go ahead and get this episode out. It is interesting rather, to remember and important to remember. On the radio side, Paige, they had Paige Bueckers for the post-game interview, Ryan. And she commented on KK about her being different. Paige says, and just when you think Paige is one of the best in the game, now you had Paige being sent to the bench and then KK subbing in for Paige Bueckers. To me, Ryan, I don't know how you feel about that. That's a scary 1-2 punch for no matter who you're playing. It could be LSU or anyone in the country. That's pretty darn scary. And that's not just because I saw it against Dayton tonight. That is going to be what you're going to be seeing a lot through the whole season. And I think it's going to work pretty darn well. And it's a process. Paige brought up it's a process, especially for her, of highs and lows, not only the team through the season, but for her. Let's go and remember that. All right. Because for all the Paige doubters, Ryan and I believe in her 100%. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. I'm speaking on behalf of you. Yeah. But we have to remember, Ryan, she admitted it. She said a process of highs and lows through it all. And remember that this is not the same Paige that we saw before, Ryan. But that's okay. You know why? Because she is back. She's always smiling, so involved with the team. You have to throw the word sports out the window. Throw it out the door, Ryan. I don't want to hear that from you. This is a lifestyle, okay? And we have to remember to stop being disrespectful. She has gone through, again, athletes go through it, but Paige has pretty much hit rock bottom in the sports world. Even though I just said the word sports, what she has done is incredible, and I think the best is yet to come. Maybe not performance-wise from her, but like I said, that's okay. Because guess what, Ryan? This might be the best team in UConn that we have seen since this podcast has started.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with any of that. And I think for Paige, it was just important for her to finally get back on the court in front of the crowd. And Gino mentioned how he gets to yell at her again back out on the court. So it's definitely all fun now that Paige is fully healthy, and it's such a joy to watch her play again. But we knew coming into the game that her minutes were going to be restricted just a little bit, only playing 21, which is a decent amount compared to all the other starters. But yeah, I mean, like Gino said, KK is going to be terrific. And she's only a freshman, which is pretty incredible. We're talking about her like she's a junior or senior, the way that she's playing already, and just in her first game through the off season, the scrimmages, preseason games in Europe, and the one past Saturday, the way KK has just come in and been playing has been anything short but incredible. So hopefully she can keep it up throughout the whole entire season. And I think Cadence and Ashland too are going to have a similar impact off the bench. But another thing, real quick thing I want to bring up too, Caroline, she was in the starting lineup. We didn't think she was, but it's good to see her back healthy again too. Her 3-point threat is really good for this team. I think it gives them UConn a really big advantage. Finally getting to see the big three that we talked about a little bit, seeing Nika Mule, Caroline Ducharme, Paige Bueckers, and AZ Fudd, all four guards. I think that's going to be tough for any opponent to guard throughout the whole entire season.
This is a name comment time. This is a name that we have not heard from in such a while, and I told you it's very good to see her back. and alongside with UNI and the UConn Huskies women's basketball team. So glad to see everybody. A lot of names again, Ryan, that has been coming through that we haven't seen all summer, and that means it's definitely back. It's official, Ryan. Can you feel the excitement? Marcia Clark, so excited for this season, regardless who starts. Gino knows what he's doing. Go UConn. Like I said in a previous comment before, everyone thought South Carolina would win it all last year, and they didn't. This season is going to be exciting and unpredictable at times. Players are coming to play in the season openers. I love it. I also think most people, including me, were sleeping on South Carolina's potential this year. Malaysia Fawili is a fun one to watch. Thanks for all your hard work, Phil and Rye. Get your nachos ready. This season should be a fun one.
Yeah, a fun one indeed, and hopefully there can be a lot more fun games to come where UConn wins by about 40 or 45 points. But yeah, I think that's a good point about South Carolina last year. How everybody thought they would win, they didn't. I think it's a very similar scenario this year with LSU, with them losing the first game. So, like I said, a lot of expectations for them. Probably means that UConn, assuming they're going to win on Sunday against NC State, that's their next opponent. Assuming they beat them, UConn will probably move into the #1 spot in the AP poll. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very deserving, especially after this game, and hopefully after they beat NC State. Yeah, I mean, very, very exciting, obviously, to finally get the season back, and hopefully UConn can hold on to that #1 spot in the AP poll.
I appreciate at UConn Nation. He goes, I love the way Phil always greets us with UConn basketball. I listen to Keith Jackson, Vince Scully, Ryan, Chick Hearn, Al Michaels, Bob Costas, Dick Einberg, and now Phil and Ryan. Let's do this. I think that's one of the most incredible comments you and I have ever received. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, that's pretty high praise to be in the I never thought we'd be thought we'd be in the same sentence as those legendary names, but as always, we definitely appreciate all the support.
Yeah, nowhere near that. Those are legendary guys, much respected for forever, and no, never will replace any of them guys. Jason D'Amico, last one, Ryan. Gentlemen, I've been watching a lot of film of the first games, and I'm here to tell you that the talent pool of this freshman class is through the roof. UConn will have to be at their best to win a title. We cannot afford 21 turnover games or 37% missed foul shots this year. Our freshmen are going to have to play right out of the gate because the opposition is coming out fighting. Time for UConn to put their big girl jerseys on and play some ball. Let's go. Peace.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened in this game. The fouls down, turnovers down, and the freshmen showed up off the bench. So I think that's going to be, one of the keys to success and one of the winning recipes that UConn's going to rely on. And like I said, as far as everybody off the bench, it seems like they're going to have quite the impact. So, yeah, I mean, I think all around this is almost a perfect game. As close as a perfect game that UConn could have played tonight. It's hard to tell when they'll score over 100 points again this season. But, if they can play like this, I know I say it a lot, if they can play like this, but, if they, have consistent performances like this, they're going to be pretty difficult to beat.
Final score again, Ryan. UConn in the season opener wins it against Dayton, 102-58. Your final score. A great night for some sleep in Storrs, Connecticut. I bet they'll be sleeping pretty well tonight, Ryan. And this is a farewell to you on this Wednesday. We will be back with that last check-in, the first last check-in for the second game of the season. Aaliyah Edwards with 23, leading all scorers. For Alston Anita and Phil Becerra, Ryan Renner saying goodnight. Big one, big season opener. Ryan, UConn women's basketball is back.